Wow, you guys are like clockwork. I was watching the clock too, and I thought, well, I guess it is that time. And sure enough, as soon as I glanced over and I saw it was 9, I also glanced over and I saw Mr. Don Holland. Good to see you, man, and Silver Locke already in the house. Yes, it's Ardbeg Slow. Oh, Showtime. It's also Ardbeg Slow Time because we're gonna go slow and enjoy ourselves. Because if you like Pete, this is the place to be. In more ways than one. Usually, yes. Good to see you there, Nestor. Our big let's do this, and Mr. Cohen as well. Yep, I am happy. It's finally Tasty Tuesday. It's been a good week. Not a bad week. Busy, but not overbearing. Thank goodness. That's the kind of weeks I like. I'm sure you guys are the same. Aloha to one over in Hawaii. Good to see you, man. It's early for you, man. I guess you're just probably not just getting off work, Juan, if you don't mind me asking. And let me get a Malt his invite real fast while I'm thinking about it. Don't want to leave him hanging. Give me 1 second to type it in and get it going here. What are you guys sipping? Hopefully, you guys have, if you're lucky, at least at a minimum, you should. If you don't have the Ardbeg 10 in your bar, I'd like to know why in the comments right now. You should have an Ardbeg 10 on your bar at all times. And if it's not the Ardbeg 10, if you have the Ugadal, that's even better. You should have both, but that's okay. At least have the 10, if not also the Ugadal. Corey Vrecken too. You got to have the Corey Vrecken. It's one of my favorites if you're into the spicy thing. A lot of white and black pepper kick, caliente. Just crazy spicy and powerful. Cast strength whiskey, I believe it's at least 52 or 3%. I'm sure. I'm going by memory here, but you know, it's a classic. And the new and no, I mean, you have to be in the mood for a sweet mint, like a sweet mint chocolate chip ice cream kind of thing. It's very much on the sweet end. If you're into that, you would like the NO. If you're not, you might think it's a little too sweet, or maybe a little. I've heard mixed reviews on the NO. I personally enjoy it. I like a white, smoky, crazy, milky ashtray, some sweet mint to it. I think it's pretty good. Looks like T Square's got some of the tin left, but you just used it for blending. You don't blend with our big tin, do you? I hope that's a hell of a freaking Rob Roy or a damn old fashioned that you made with that tea. I don't have our big tin right now because I like the tip 5 better at the moment. Now there you go. That's a good save for Mr. Andrew. The very thirsty. I hear you, man. It's Tasty Tuesday. The I'd say that the 5, the Wee Beastie, is also a good alternative if you're in the mood for a little bit of a licorice, a star anise kind of a thing. That definitely has it. RB 10 is $100 in Canada and Ontario. Oh, he's got the Ugadal and the 19. Well, there you go. The 19 is really, really good. I popped mine open not too long ago, and rather enjoyed it. A lot of smoked pineapple type of thing going on with that. Very different, not like any other Ardbegs I've had. Why don't I have the 10? I'm a popper. It's a struggle even to buy whiskey at 40 Canadian. No, I hear you, man. Well, since you put it that way, no, I can't knock you guys that are struggling. I know it's $50 to $60 is yeah, and if you can get the Ugadal, for 60 at that price, that's a really good price. But I think you're near. Is it Colorado or California? I get it mixed up. I think you're California. Speaking of good stuff, here's the good stuff. What's up?
Hey. Long time no see, buddy. How are you?
I'm so thirsty,
Well, I think you've come to the right place.
and I think I picked the perfect time to be at my utmost thirst potential.
It's Ardbeg night.
You cannot say no to Ardbeg, man. I don't care if you love Isla, hate Isla. I mean, it's one of those whiskeys you just you got to try at least once before you die.
I'm with you 100%.
So
I
at least you
I
can
got
say that you
no.
tried it.
Yeah, I love me some Ardbeg, and I'm looking forward to tonight. In fact, I'm looking forward to it so much, Telex, that I kind of cheated, man.
Oh
I got
no.
out ahead of things a little bit. I cracked open on the happy hour on my channel a bottle of the Ardbeg Dark Cove.
Oh, you
I couldn't
bastard.
resist. I had to do it. It was delicious, and it has put me in the perfect mental state to go down the road of some serious freaking Ardbegs. And so I'm excited to jump into these tonight. And it looks like we got a bunch of folks coming in already, which is awesome. We're going to be talking about some good whiskeys, and I got a little naked grouse in the glass to set the palate right.
I'm surprised you set the bar so high, man. You started with the Dark Cove. It's like leading with the 5-star stuff.
I know. I don't know what to do, man. I had to do it.
I can't blame you. If I had any of that stuff left, and it's been a long time, I've got the bottle, the bones, we'll call them, on the other shelf back there. I got
In the boneyard.
I got a boneyard. I got a limited release and a committee release of that stuff, and man, it's the best Ardbeg, I think, hands down across the board. It's funny.
Yeah.
The people that I usually talk about Ardbeg, the fanboys like myself, typically also gravitate towards that bottle. So there must be something about it that's
It's freaking delicious. I've had a sip of the committee release at a bar years ago, and it was delicious. I have 3 bottles of this limited release, and so I cracked one of them tonight. I don't want to digress too much, but basically, it's freaking delicious. It's sweet, much sweeter than anything I expected, and I feel like it's a sweeter version of Ukadal with a little less ABV, but it does have a little bit of its own uniqueness to it. I loved it, man. I'm a fan. I would wish they could bring this out again because I would love to get a full bottle of the committee release that's not $500,000. You know.
or at least come back to that really solid cherry cordial in a glass type
Oh
of
yeah, man, that's exactly right. I said that exact word. It's like those damn chocolate covered cherries, man.
I mean, and I didn't get it so much on the limited release, but if you're lucky enough to ever get to try the committee release, there is this really ultra savory, almost like steak Diane kind of note you can get off of it. It's crazy. It's like the perfect combination of sweetness and savory notes together, and I think that's what makes that committee release especially just an insane bottle. But now the secondary market prices are just is crazy, like $500. It's just no way.
Oh yeah, it's totally outrageous, and there's not much we can do about that.
Yeah,
but
if you can find it at 120, it's a steal in a heartbeat, though. That's for sure.
Well, yeah. If I walk into an old liquor store and see that sitting there, I'm buying it without hesitation. But I had 1 dram of the committee release at a bar a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh wow, I wish I could get another. But I'll tell you, like this even limited release is no slouch. And this is a really good segue into what we got going on in the second hour tonight, because we're going to go head to head with a Ardbeg Day release that you and I both were fans of. We're going to be doing this is matured in Pinot Noir, the Ardbeg Blaaack Committee, and the Ardbeg Blaaack Limited. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, those were kind of controversial, surprisingly. With I'm not sure about your crew and your show, but when I was doing the overview, man, I had a couple of folks that were not into the whiskey as much. They thought it was a bit young, but I don't know. I mean, the cast to me, the casts were so damn good that were used in that one that it overshadowed any of the youthful. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah. No, definitely though. Yeah, I got opinions on that as well. But but before we do that, man, we're gonna get into a classic, a standby, a must-have on your bar, a quintessential Ardbeg release, the bad boy, the big daddy, the ass kicker, Ardbeg 10. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm gonna get some in the glass just to get us started here, but. First, man, anything new in the last week?
No, just I know I got to pick up some stuff from you here in the next month or so. We got to I got to get with you on a couple bottles that Eric was lucky enough to find some really good ones for me. The Kraganmore 20, that's going to be really solid.
Yeah.
The Kergelicke 23 exceptional cask version, which is going to be the cask strength, which is insanely good. I'm sure, man. That was a great find on that one. I don't know how you've managed that. And also, we're going to look back maybe at some point, the Carriages 2015, and I'll ask Eric to take a sample for himself before I get the bottle from him, and that way maybe we might be able to tack it on to like a Lafroig show at some point down the road. That we
yeah. The minute I got a line on one of those, man, I was like, oh, I need another bottle of this, and then I thought, you know what, you and I have talked so many times about that damn bottle, and I was going to give you the tube for it, and I kept forgetting, and I'm like, you know what? I got to get Telex on the horn when I heard about this. I was like, yo, man, you want one of these?
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome. I mean, like, it's one of the better Lafroigs. I mean, and we'll get into the Ardbeg versus Lafroig thing a little bit tonight, too, I'm sure. It's hard not to. But,
and I was surprised that you didn't say that was going to be like $350. I thought you were going to give me some crazy price on that one.
No, man. I only marked you up 10%, bro. I only marked you up 10%.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. I know how it goes.
I'm messing with you, man.
But no, isn't it funny that it's a 5-year-old bottle, and sometimes you're just lucky enough to find it for the retail price? It's just weird how that works sometimes.
Yeah, man. I got lucky. I unfortunately had a line on some Cadenheads, like 1990s Ardbegs and Lafroigs, but those went before I could jump on them. But so it goes.
No, yeah, you can't win them all. I learned that the hard way pretty quickly.
Yeah,
there's nothing worse than when you find either an auction or a sale or something, and you're like, "Ooh, I've got it. It's in the bag," and then you find out, oh, there's a catch, or there's some tariff or some charge or something that happens, and it's like, oh, damn it.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I hear you. Well, I'm tapering down my 2020 buying extravaganza a little bit, but I have added some other things that I can share with you. So a couple things that we'll definitely get to try. So I got my hand on the Anach Batch 2 Pete Hart.
Yes.
Which is going to be a lot of fun. I've already, of course, opened that because I love me some Anach. So got that one going. What else did I grab? I got a Ben Riach 1994, which is like, it's 19 years old, bourbon peated cask.
I graduated in 94
from
high school.
We'll definitely do that one.
From high school.
Oh, man, I got to show you this. It was part of this trilogy of releases done specially to a place called Tyndrum Whisky in the UK.
Oh, yeah, I know Tyndrum. They got good stuff over there.
Yeah, so I got this. This is a Glen Alecky 14-year.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, it's so dark. I'm really excited about that.
I bet that's going to be ultra good. What's the 14 years you said on that one?
Yeah, you want to know the ABV?
It's got to be high, man.
61.
Ooh, I'll see that. Now that sounds like a perfect deal right there.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun with that.
Was that a sherry?
Yeah, it's all Oloroso.
I was going to say, that's like a dark-ass bottle.
Yeah, that one's going to be a lot of fun. I got the Supernova in 2019, but I know that you and I have already tasted that. I got a Carchus Amontillado, which I think you've had, right?
I was lucky enough to find that one in California, but that was like 3 or 4 years ago, and that is a great bottle. Have you opened it already?
No, I haven't. But
dude, if you like Amontillado whiskey, man, that's one of the best ones I've ever had. And Mr. Lee Evolved, you probably know him.
Yeah.
He is like, that's one of his favorite bottles too. So I think.
Oh well, good. I haven't opened it. That's the oldest of the Carchus range that I have. But I was really excited to get that.
The only other Carchus that's better than that one is the 2013 port, and that's the.
Yeah, I've had a sample of that. Yeah, I've had a sample of that one. That was really good. Yeah, a couple of other things really quick. I got a couple of Alexander Murray indie releases, 19-year-old Linkwood.
Oh, nice.
Cask strength and a 12-year-old Lafroig cask strength.
Oh, that Linkwood's going to be perfect. I picked up the Linkwood 12 4 bottle.
Exactly, because I knew that you got that. Yeah, that's going to be perfect. Kilkerran 16.
Oh, how'd you find that, man? As I've been looking for that one.
I'll tell you a bottle of it.
That's fine, yep.
Yeah, I got a couple. Springbank 17 Madeira cask and Paul John. This one's really exciting. It's an Indian one. Paul John, the Christmas edition 2020, which is first of all, it's cask strength. Second of all, it's like 48% or something. It's ex it's expert peated bourbon casks, ex Oloroso sherry, and first fill virgin oak.
Oh man, I bet that's really
That's
tasty.
going to be a lot of fun, man. So we'll definitely get into that.
If they did that right, because I do like some Paul John. I've had some good Paul John whiskeys, just to kind of on the side and tastings, and
Yeah,
that's right up there with Emerald. I think is for some of the best Indian whiskey you can get.
yeah. This is my first Paul John, and Maher, who was he was hanging out a little bit on the show, the Happy Hour show. He is from India and has sung the praises of these Christmas editions. This is the third one they've done. I think the one last year was all PX. So yeah, I saw the opportunity to snag it, and I did. So yeah, I'm excited for that, man.
And I will tell you, I was lucky enough to have one of the different. Like I haven't had the 2020. I think it might have been like 2018 or 2019, but
Yeah.
it was really really good. And I think it might have been just the PX version of it. But
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
it was tasty. So I think you're in for a real treat on that one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that for sure, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, right on.
Also looking forward to got the Speyburn 25 back here. It's a silver box. That one's going to be really fun to open up at some point. I've been picked up that one along with that Linkwood that I talked about earlier. I forgot about those two bottles. So we'll be also Eric was able to pick up the Tobermory 12.
Yeah, I do. I got the
21 over here too. So we'll be looking at some Tobermories hopefully down the road at some point too. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's going to be great. We got a bunch of good stuff coming up, y'all, and excited about doing some in Ardbeg tonight, man. Can't go wrong with Ardbeg.
Yeah, it's. I was telling the guys, I'm like, if you don't have this on your bar, there's got to be something wrong. But the good thing is, a lot of the people that said they did, because I kind of challenged them to let me know if they didn't have it, why. And the sad thing is the economy is really the toughest reason.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
So I understand that. I felt kind of bad after I brought up, hey, you got to have this in your bar, and then it's like, oh, that's right, $50 is not so easy to come by anymore. Like
no, it is not, man. It is not. But it, you can put it on that wish list for the better days because I think it's worth it.
And the better days should be coming here later this year. I have a feeling if we're lucky.
Let's hope so. Yeah. Well, let's jump in. Hey.
Yeah, it's. Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say this is such a. It's funny. I'm thinking like if you weren't already into the peat, what would you start with as far as Scotch? And maybe Kalila would be like a good starting point. But after you try like a Kalila or like something that's maybe just smoky like a Jura or something, the next logical step would
not Jura.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of
something. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. I know.
That's a good peated whiskey, but kind of mild. Like a Highland Park would probably be good starting.
Maybe like Open 14, isn't that lightly peated? I don't remember.
True. It is a little bit. It's like a smokiness more than a peat.
Yeah. You're right.
But you're on the money pretty much. But I think Ardbeg 10 and the Laphroaig 10 are kind of like your natural second middle of the road, but solid whiskeys to really start with Islay,
I 100% agree. And like, I think, if you're going to like peated whiskey, heavily peated whiskey, once you have these are the standard bearers, in my opinion. The Lagavulin 16 is right there too, but I think for the
the Lagavulin 16.
Yeah. For the price, I mean, I think Ardbeg 10, Laphroaig 10 are in that $40 to $50 range.
If you can find this Lagavulin 16 for a reasonable price, that would be also a good starting like Lila whiskey.
Yeah,
but Eric's right that the prices have gone through the roof lately.
It used to be like $69 just 2 years ago, and now they're like $100. It's nuts. It's almost, I wouldn't buy it at that price, to be honest with you. But
I think the only reason I almost think it might, I mean, I'm not saying it's worth $100, but the only reason I would ever spend closer to like the 80 range is because it is a 16-year-old whiskey. I think the funny thing is a lot of people have been so spoiled by the great price of that 16-year-old whiskey for so long that when they do see these prices go up, it's like, it feels painful. But if you look at the overall like age of whiskey, for the price, it's actually one of the cheaper ones. It's kind of
that is true. I think it's just a sign of the times, Anyways, yeah. So Ardbeg 10, prominent in your face, big Ardbeg label, classic Ardbeg bottle. This is at 46% ABV. Explicitly says non-chill filtered on the label.
Thank
It does
God.
not mention the color. However, I do know that, I don't think Ardbeg adds much color, if any, but it doesn't say anything on here, so we can assume that maybe they do add just a tad in here. Boy, when you look at the color of the whiskey itself, you wouldn't know it. It's very light.
Yeah, this is. I mean, if they added any, I mean, you could see this. If they
Yeah.
added any color to this at all, it would only be for consistency purposes. They're definitely not pulling the Dalmore blinds your eyes with red,
Yeah.
coloring deal. This
Yeah.
is about as natural as you can get if it's not natural. Put it that way. This is what a 10-year-old
Yeah.
whiskey should look like.
I completely agree with you. The other thing I'll mention here really quick, Ardbeg is rivals maybe nobody, maybe Highland Park for its over-the-top marketing. And so while this is a tamer version of their marketing, I just want to share two things on here about Ardbeg 10, just to give you all a flavor of Ardbeg if you don't know much about it. So first of all, it says, Ardbeg is revered around the world as the peatiest, smokiest, most complex whiskey of all. Well, I mean, that's debatable. But I do want to, it does not flaunt the peat, rather the peat gives way to the malt. That's good. So then it says most whiskeys are chill filtered at a strength of 40% ABV. Ardbeg 10 is non-chill filtered at 46, thus retaining maximum flavor. That I appreciate. They're absolutely right. That's the way you frickin' do it,
Also, I love the 46% that they put on their entry level bottle.
Yeah,
Someone
I mean,
brought it.
Ardbeg's good with that. Ardbeg's good at they don't go with the weak ABVs on any of their whiskeys, which I appreciate.
Someone brought a good point up with the Lagavulin 16. The problem with that one is the 43 is a lower ABV. So I understand what you mean by that. But yeah, the 10 is consistent. I've never had an off bottle of Ardbeg anything really that I can remember. Have you ever had like a bottle where you're kind of like, oh, is something off with this or not quite right?
Definitely not off. I mean, I like some Ardbegs more than others as anybody, but yeah, I've never had a bad experience with one. And it's interesting for all the Ralphie fans. Ralphie made this his whiskey of the year in like 2018, 2017, and keeps revisiting it and has high praise for the consistency of the Ardbeg 10, which I totally agree with. I'm giving him my seal of approval.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that I think Ralphie is right. No. Anyway,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
If he says it's pretty good, then he's not the type, I don't think, that likes to deal with the business side of reviews
Right.
and all that. So if he's willing to give them some props, then it's probably legit.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I just want to mention before we get started here is you have a bottle of this too, right?
Of which one?
Oh, you have the bottle of the 10?
Yeah, I've got it right here.
Just uncork this 10 and you just smell it out of the bottle, and it's perfect. It's just perfect.
Oh yeah.
This is like the quintessential. If you want to tell people what Islay heavily peated single malt whiskey smells like and tastes like, a whiff off a bottle of Ardbeg 10. It's deep, intense, vegetal, sweet vanilla. It's magical, man. It smells like it came off a damn clipper ship in the 1600s. It's just perfect.
That's a good analogy or simile. I can't remember which one that would be. But
analogy, yeah, I think.
It's funny. As soon as I poured it, literally, only after a minute, it was all in the air, and I was just thinking to myself, "This is the reason why I drink Islay whiskey is because all you have to do is just open the bottle, not even pour it, and especially if you pour it, it's like you've just released a good Kraken."
Yeah, not Kraken rum, right? Yeah,
not Kraken rum, but you released a good vibe into the room. It's like you gotta smile when you smell the Ardbeg 10 in the air.
Man, I'll never forget my first bottle of it. Well, let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, same here. It's funny. It's like the two best smelling whiskeys to me are definitely between the Ardbeg 10, just talking basic whiskey, and the Lafroig 10. Those two smellingly are just scent wise are just insanely great.
You know, it's, yeah. Lefroy 10, when you open the bottle of that, it literally is like somebody just dropped a nuclear bomb outside the hospital blew up and the hospital is blowing up in your face. Basically, it's just like, oh, shit.
And it's not that I dislike Kalila 12. For me, the nose on that is definitely more on the vegetal side of things rather than this. This is more like balanced with the maritime and the brininess and the oiliness, and the Kalilas are typically a little more vegetal slash floral in nature. So that's the reason why I prefer this nose over the Kalila. But
yeah, I also find the Kalila, like, I don't find it as vegetal as much as I do like kind of tropical fruit, kind of like sweeter, like citrusy, similar with Kilchoman to some degree. But this one I find to have a little more of the vegetalness, but you know, splitting hairs maybe.
Yeah, this one to me, the lemon and the lime that you get off this cuts. It almost like cuts the herbs and the and that smoky floral thing going on. It's got like that. It's almost. It's even got like wet rope, and it's crazy.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right about the florals. I mean, I get a lot of the bourbon cast vanilla. There's just a lot of like smoke, saltiness, just brininess. It's not salty. It's like the essence of it. It's like smelling seawater, not tasting it.
Exactly.
And I know, you know, and then the lemon lime is huge.
I love the smoke you get off an Ardbeg 10. This is one of the few whiskeys to me that has both a really good amount of peat and a really good amount of smoke in it.
Yeah,
because sometimes, like the Juras and some of the other ones, you get just the smoke, and some other ones like the Octomores or some of the Port Charlottes, even you get a lot more peat than you do the smoke. This is kind of like. And I think the Lefroy 10's like this a lot too. It's got kind of like the best of both worlds in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. It smells like it has some heft to it. It's rich. Doesn't smell necessarily like a light whiskey. And again, there's a little bit of that. Just like earthiness, like I don't know how to describe it, but it's like behind that sweet citrus and the smoke.
You can almost
see like a foundation, like it's kind of like molasses or something. Just something like kind of dark. It's not heavy, it's not dominating, but it's there, like holding the center.
You can almost see the bog that when you're smelling it.
Right.
No joke. It's there's even mint, but it's not as minty as the Ano. It's got like a slight little pinch of a mint.
Yep. It's great. There's not a ton of complexity on the nose, but it's just great. There's a little bit of like a grassy note, like grassy, like just generic kind of like vegetalness.
It's funny. This is one of the very few glasses to me, and I'm sounding like I'm a salesperson, but I'm honestly not. But this is one of the very few bottles that you can have and enjoy in the wintertime and the summertime, I think, equally, if you think about it.
Sure.
It's got that lightness, and it's got a refreshment to it, effervescence that makes you feel like it would be great in the spring when I drink this all year round. But when the shit hits the fan and you need a fire and you want to get warm, it's also a glass. I mean, you might gravitate more to the Ugadal or Korjevrekken, but you're still going to go for that peat smoke factor, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're not going to surprise anybody by saying, like, I rarely don't have a bottle of this. And honestly, I usually go to it more than the Ugadal or Korjevrekken just because of its simplicity.
Yeah.
And it just nails everything that I want. Like Ugadal,
it's half price.
I do think Ugadal and Korjevrekken are quote unquote better whiskeys, but they also bring a lot of complexity with them that this is a whiskey that I can sit down. I don't have to think much about. It doesn't trigger my brain of like looking for notes. I just know what's coming with this, and I'm going to just ride it. And with that, I'm going to do that right now.
And what's great about this to me is it's the best of both worlds. If you want to sit down, like Eric said, and just sip it and enjoy it with some friends and not even think about it, you can do that. But if you do want to get analytical, there's enough greatness going on with it that you could spend a good hour through all the nuances of it.
Yep. Oh, man.
Woo! Love it.
Still just punches, man. Bourbon notes. lot more on the palate. You get the light caramel, the light toffee, the vanilla, and then you just get the blast of like spice. It's not pepper. It's not like a Talisker where you have like a lot more like the black and, as you would say, white pepper. It's, to me, it's much more of like a kind of juicier. It's a chili pepper. It's just, again, that effervescent peat, that boggy kind of just wet, damp vegetalness. Medium long finish, nice vanilla, little mint, little caramel, heavy smoke.
Yeah, I do get
Black
like
wood.
it's really really light, like a little smidgen of black pepper. But you're right, it's more of like a juicy
Yeah,
combination. For me, is like a combination between a, and I like green peppers, like a really good green pepper, along with a spicy kind of a jalapeno or chili pepper. It's got like a
sure. Yeah,
both sides. It's really wild how, I mean, it's funny, even though it's not crazy complex, you can filter out a lot of stuff in this if you really want to, and sit down and think
yep.
about all the little different notes you get off of it. It's an oily beast. I love the viscosity of this too.
Yeah, it is really oily. Sweet savory, man. Sweet savory. It just rocks it in a perfect equilibrium.
Yeah, what's great about this is even though it does have a little bit of the citrus, the lemon lime stuff going on,
Yeah,
it's not too acidic tasting to me.
little
Thank God.
salt too. Little bit of salt.
Yeah.
Like right on the end, that you're left with like when you went swimming in the ocean and you got just a little bit of that taste in your mouth you can't quite shake. You're left with a little bit of at the end with that lemon lime, which is really a sweet lemon lime, like lemon with sugar on it, and then like the vanilla, and again just this afterburn of ashtray, burnt wood, smoldering fire. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah. The only thing, and this is where I think the Lagavulin gets its props, is I will say, even though I am a huge fanboy, I love the nose and the palate of this better as far as the Ardbeg 10 goes. The only thing that it does have a decent finish, but to me, I do prefer the Lagavulin 16 finish, I think, overall, if I'm thinking about, comparatively. But
Sure.
it is still pretty damn good.
Yeah, no doubt. I think there's just a little bit more depth and, for lack of a better word, like darkness and like deep seaweed, kind of like dirty seawater note. I know that sounds gross, but it's not in the
No,
whiskey.
it's good.
There's a lot of more in 16 than this, but like, you know, I, it's really hard to hate.
Someone was saying earlier that they thought sometimes maybe for Isla drinkers, it's best just to jump in with both feet and not start with something mild and just go all in with the Ardbeg or a Lafroig. And I guess the only way I could agree with it is if you told the person, hey, you might not like this the first time you have it. Most people don't. They typically have it, are intrigued at least a little bit by it, enough to come back for another sip or two, and then after like the third or fourth time, then they actually fall in love with it. That's
Yeah.
usually how it goes.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, and in our intermission time before the second review, we should totally tell our how did we come to like peat stories. And
Yeah.
if Brooks in the chat, man, if you remember way back when to when you realized you liked peated whiskey, man, share your story as well. We can all talk about this. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you something, Telex. With the addition of water, and I just put a couple drops on this, I'm getting a bit more of like a dark chocolate, like a lot more actually. That rides through the development into the finish. It turns that vanilla into a darker chocolate note. I actually think the water does this a little bit of justice.
Oh, wow. I put a couple of drops on there just to see what
Yeah.
Good point, because yeah, that's a funny thing. A lot of people, especially whiskey, I don't want to say advanced folks, but whiskey experienced whiskey drinkers will say, unfortunately, sometimes we get too comfortable enough to the point where we get a bottle of Ardbeg, we open it up, we sip it, we enjoy it, but we don't really take the time to look into all these other ways to enjoy it. So this is a good point, I think, for even people that have been around the block like us a few times. Sometimes it's good to get the water pipe out and put a couple drops on just to see, what kind of different stuff you get out of it sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially when you give it to you at 46% out of the bottle too.
Yep. I Yeah, you said it. You said it. Nailed it on the head, man. I do feel like this gets a bit darker in its notes. I almost get a little darker, like kind of almost a little red fruit asserting itself. And again, on that palate, that dark chocolate. You know, I do think the water actually it doesn't tame down the fire. I mean, this is a smoldering fucking whiskey. But
Yeah,
man, it tames down that sweetness just a bit, and you get a bit more of that core we were talking about, that center of kind of like earthiness, a bit of that molasses, like
I'm definitely getting the after water on the nose. I'm getting a lot of the bourbon cask notes up front in my face, which I like. I like the. I'm getting a lot of the toffees, vanillas, and the butterscotches, and
yeah, butterscotch. You're right, totally. Man, what a dram.
it's getting thicker. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it, it brings a combination of like the sweetness with the spice, but the spice is like a just a really nice, solid kind of a mixture between salt and maybe a little touch of white pepper, but not much, just enough to give it a little kick.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's on the tip of the tongue. There's a little bit of that saltiness, that just kind of like very acute spice note. Almost a little juicy fruit gum going on too.
Yeah,
God, dude.
here comes that
I just
chocolate.
had to pour I had to pour a little bit more in the glass because I just, what you just said, Telex, I can't emphasize and underscore enough. That taking your time with a whiskey that you think you know everything about, because some of us in the chat, I know Telex and I, we've probably had 5 or 6 bottles of Ardbeg 10 in our lives. We know what we're getting into, but goddamn, is it so nice when you sit down, take your time, talk to good people about it, and really experience this whiskey as if you haven't had it in a long time. And just putting a little bit of water on this and taking my time, slowing down a bit, even though I had to pour a little bit more, it's still like we're talking about it, we're thinking about it, and it's making me appreciate this even more.
And you nailed it with the dark chocolate. I'm also getting like a really the lime notes are coming. There's more lime, which it's actually good because if I had to pick between lemon and lime flavor, I would stick with the lime one than I would the lemon. And it gets less citrusy the more towards the lime side you get versus the lemon side, which is I know kind of weird to say that way because they're both citrus fruits, but the lime,
it has that sourness at the end, which is
yeah,
the lime for
like
sure.
like a tart, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little drying. That's the only thing that's tough about the finish for me on this one is, I mean, a lot of good whiskeys are drying. That's just the way it goes. But it definitely dries me up more than some other whiskeys do. It's not really a complaint. It's just kind of an observation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And the way that it's drying, it's not tannic. It's like fresh wood. It's just like sawdusty almost. Like
Yeah, a combination of wood and the salt brininess together, it kind of dissipates out that way. It's a solid dram no matter how you look at it. I'm just trying to think of like present day. If I was going to put a label score type thing on this, man, what would you even think?
yeah, I mean, I'll jump in first on it if you want.
Yeah,
I
go
mean,
ahead.
I think this is I think for somebody who knows they like peated whiskey and wants to have the definitive Islay single malt at a good price, that's not too complex. It's just straight up the heart of Islay. Ardbeg 10 is your bottle, 4.25 out of 5. This is a buy right away. If you can, put it on your shelf. It never disappoints. Anecdotally, I will mention, shameless plug of my whiskey channel, but a few months back, I cracked 3 fresh bottles of the big 3 10-year-old heavy hitters. So that did not include Lagavulin 16. I did Ardbeg 10, Laphroaig 10, and Port Charlotte 10. In order of, I loved all of them. They're all must-haves in my opinion and must-tries. Ardbeg 10, Port Charlotte, Laphroaig was my overall best to least best. And again, that is no hate on Lafroig 10 because you can't hate on Lafroig.
Yeah. No, I'm right
It is
there.
what it is, my friend.
I'm right
Yeah,
there.
I'm a 4.25 all day on this. I think it's better than a must buy. I mean, 4 for me is like I recommend getting a bottle, and I do include cost. But because I think this is such quality presentation and the complexity that you can actually get, it's not the most complex whiskey in the world, but I think it's a step above Lafroig. It is also 3% above Lafroig. It is also not chill filtered like Lafroig. I'm sorry. It's great. It's a great whiskey, and the consistency that I've noticed in this over the years, I'm never disappointed with this. Yeah, 4.25 out of 5. I'm bullish on the Ardbeg 10.
No, I hear you there. I'm not a major disagreement at all. I was trying to think of oh yeah, on your Ardbeg Port Charlotte the Lafroig thing. I'm pretty much there with you. I was trying to think of how I would rate those if I was shooting out with those three. I guess I have to do it just to kind of see what I think, but I'm probably be really close to that. Only difference might be I might put. I do like the Port Charlotte though. I was thinking I might put the Lafroig above it, but it's not too often that I've had a Port Charlotte, and when I've had them, I've really enjoyed them. So I guess I'll have to have my own little shootout sometime and see.
Do it. I'll throw my link to the shootout in there if anybody wants to check it out later.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, I'm with you. I might not give it the 2.5. I think I'm going to stick at a 4. I do think it's well above average at a 3. It's a solid whiskey. I think most people, especially if there are Isla drinkers, would give it at least a 3.75 to 4.25, mostly across the board. And yeah, the non-chill filtering, the 46%, the 10-year age statement. The coloring is the only thing is iffy on it. And if they put coloring in this, I would be really surprised that
I would too.
They would even bother. The it's the best standard Isla whiskey. It's kind of like the equivalent of a Springbank 10 to Campbelltown. It's that's the first thing you think of. You're going to drink if you start out with Campbelltown. It's a Springbank 10. With Isla, if I knew someone already liked peat, I would start them with the Ardbeg 10 and say this is what most whiskeys try to taste like if they can.
Yeah.
But the Kilhoman original cast strength Snow Slouch, that one's like peanut brittle in a bottle to me. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
It just doesn't have the age is the only thing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Oh man, it is a great whiskey, and it's hard to knock it. The only thing I'd like better in other Ardbegs is the cask maturation they do or finishings they do, and the higher ABV is always a good option. And the only thing they could really do to make it better is have it aged longer. So it's kind of it's really like complaining without complaining, really.
Yeah, totally, man. I enjoy this every single time I pick it up, and there's nothing bad to say about this whiskey at all.
Do you have anything bad to say about Ardbeg 10, Steven? You better say no, man. He probably has a couple bottles of Ardbeg 10 even on his bar, even though he probably has more of the.
I mean, it's just you got to have it. This is a must-have whiskey. You'll see it on the shelf. This is what it's been like for me. It's like, I'm looking through. I got the Supernova. I got all these other Ardbegs, but then I see that 10, and I'm like, you know what? That's what I'm in the mood for. I don't want to sit here and think about all the complexity. I want to just sip fucking bonfire peat smoke Isla whiskey, and I'll go to the mat. Ardbeg 10, 4.25.
I hear you, man. It's a classic. I'm gonna go ahead and pour the next dram and have it kind of getting ready.
Yeah, what was your score on this one? I'll get mine poured too.
I gave it a 4. I was almost there with you. I was almost there. I have to give a little room for some of their better casks. That's the only reason I gave it kind of a little more breathing room. But it is a standard classic. Gotta have it staple. And the only reason why you shouldn't have it is if it's hard to afford during the pandemic. That's pretty
Yeah,
much
right. No, I'm with you on that. Yeah, definitely.
and if you can't get this, I mean, hopefully you can get something really close, because it's really tough to find a good entry level Isla for under 50, $60, really. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
because you have to go to like the Magnus, which is outside. That's the island's Highland Park thing for,
Yeah,
30,
yeah, yeah,
35. It's a decent whiskey, or something
yeah.
like a, I mean, you don't want to bother with the select unless you have to.
Right.
The
So we got
Ano
a four
is,
point. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the Ano is well priced,
Yeah,
but it's still
you and I are always going to be at loggerheads about the unknown,
it's
but
it's 60 to 70, so it's really higher. I mean, unless you're lucky to see it at 50 or 60, it's still usually
yeah,
pretty high price for what it is. So I'll agree with you on that one. I would get the 10 for price, for price concerns. That's for sure.
for sure. Yeah. So we got a 4.25 out of Malt Muser and a 4 out of 5 for Telex the Whiskey Tech on the Ardbeg 10. High praise. Not much else needs to be said about it. But as we wait for hour number 2, where we're going to go head to head, Ardbeg Blaaack Committee versus Ardbeg Blaaack Limited. I was thinking, Telex, let's circle back to that prompt about like when did you know you liked Isla whiskey, and I saw Welsh Toro had a great little comment here that captures it. He said, "That's me jumping in on the story. I loved peated whiskey the moment I tried it. Tasted like what proper Scottish whiskey should taste like."
Yeah.
Here, here, Welsh Toro, my man. Well said. And do feel free, folks, to share your story about like, or if you didn't like it, you can share what you don't like about it. But what was the thing that when did you realize that peated whiskey, heavily peated Isla Scotches were like something you were into? Because what they say is only about 10% of people actually can like it. I know most people hate it. I've poured it for many a person that just can't do it. But Telex, I'll give you the floor, man. What's your story on discovering heavily Isla peated scotches?
Before I get to that, I was going to say, hey, Steven, good to see you, man. And yeah, even Steven has some dusty tins on the shelf. So if Steven can buy a tin, anybody can get a tin, because that guy does not need to buy a tin. That's for sure. He's right about the 25 prices, man. Have you seen that new 25 Ardbeg release?
I'm not even going to look.
Yeah, it's that bad. So I'm kind of depressed about it. Maybe someday if I win the lottery, but we'll see.
Yeah, that seems to be the case with a lot of our things.
But as far as like starting, I was one of the rare ones, I think, where I only tried Scotch because of peat. And the reason I say that is because I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. We start drinking with we drink whiskey early there. Let's say I was a young teenager and I already had my share of a lot of different whiskeys. So I kind of knew I was not the biggest corn whiskey fan. I do like rye, and I was always into like rye. Wheat was okay, but corn just really didn't do much for me. I'm sorry, let reverse that. Wheat was actually the worst. Corn was a little bit more tolerable. Rye to me was the best. So when later on in life, and this has only been, I guess, 5-6 years ago, I was at a bar, and I always thought I was kind of intrigued by Scotch, but I'd never really pulled the trigger to try it, because it's not cheap either. But it's the best if you tried it like at a speakeasy. That's where I was, or some sort of like a decent whiskey bar that not just has bourbon, but also is known for some of their Scotch. And I started with the flight of Glenmorangie 10 was the opener. Isla, the Olive Jura 10 was the second one. And then Lafroig 10 was the third. And I thought, yeah, everyone's probably like thinking, what the hell kind of flight is that? But it kind of made sense, because you start out with the Glenmorangie 10. And to me, I liked
the ultimate palate starter.
I liked it better than corn whiskey, because it wasn't corn, and I never had malted whiskey before. So to me, that out of the gate was a better deal. But I wasn't like, it wasn't like, oh God, I have to have more of this. Glenmorangie 10 and I never had a love relationship. We were kind of just indifferent to each other because it's a very floral forward whiskey too. And I didn't get.
It was a high school girlfriend.
Yeah, it was the high school kind of the fling, right? And then we go to college and we learn about smoke, and that's where the Alajura comes in.
I learned about some smoke in college, no doubt.
Wow. We're going off the rails. No, but you're right, man. It's that's the experimental the stage.
Exactly. It was what Telex and I would colloquially call the equivalent of the Glenfiddich experimental series.
There you go.
It was Project 420.
So I tried it, exactly. I tried it, and I was like, it's intriguing. I was like, that smoke is kind of cool. It kind of gave me that, that mouth feel that I kind of expected, but it was a bit different than I was used to. And I was like, I do like it a little bit better than the last one, but it was just to me like another kind of a bourbon-esque type of a whiskey, not really, something to get excited about. And then I tried that Lefroy 10, and I tell you what, man, at first, even though it was so different and that mouthful of peat, really kind of gets you, I fell in love with it the first time I tasted it because of the TCP iodine. I just loved that note. I don't know what it is. I don't like bandages. I don't like needles. I don't like hospitals. But I tell you what, I love a mouthful of that.
I'm glad you finally gave up huffing Band-Aids, man. I was worried about you for a minute.
But there's something about that glass. Lefroy 10 is just nothing to sneeze at. It doesn't need anything. It doesn't need water, really. You can add water if you want. It just is. It was a great, and I had a really good meal with it. I had like some cheese grits and some bacon wrapped scallops and some.
Yeah.
I was going to town, man. It was a great, fantastic evening.
That's awesome, man.
What about you?
I mean, it's so cool that we remember this stuff. Like so much about whiskey and particularly Scotch for me, and it's about these moments in life, those euphoric moments, especially early in your journey when the light bulb turns on, and you have that moment with a whiskey. For me, it was the opposite of what you went through. I went to a bar. I was just dipping my toes in Scotch. I was a tequila guy and a bourbon guy. And I had a glass of Talisker 10, which for the record, I still am not a fan of. I don't think it's a bad whiskey. I just don't love Talisker. Although that 18, we can talk about the 18. That's good for it. And so I had a glass of Talisker 10, and the pepper note I was just like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? And
it's very peppery.
It was the cliche of what people talk about when they drink Scotch. Much like the cliche of drinking "quote unquote" tequila when you're in your, AKA Cuervo Gold, which isn't really tequila. When you're in college and you're like, "Oh, I'll never drink tequila again." I had a glass of Talisker at the bar, and I just couldn't stand it.
Sima.
Yeah. Right. Fast forward a couple months, and I was living in Washington D.C. And I was out with a friend, and he's like, you got to try this. And he got me a glass of Lefroy 10, right? So I had already told him, like, I don't really
everyone should start with Lefroy 10.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like the smoky stuff, man. Don't be pouring me this shit. And so he buys me this. I couldn't even finish it. I was just like, this is fucking horrible. It smells like somebody lit my car on fire, and I'm just sitting there breathing the vapors. I used to work on a road car crew in my early 20s. That's what Lefroy 10 reminded me of. I was like, this is freaking awful, man. But why would you drink this? And he's like, no, man, you just don't get it. And I was like, nah, you finish it. I slid that glass 10 paces over. I'm like, that's for you, man.
But that's the only time you ever did that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me get another glass of that
thing over here.
Glenfiddich 12. Something a little more palatable, reasonable, right? So fast forward another couple months. And I was out with this girl, and she was into it, and we were having a couple of whiskeys, and I had Lefroy 10 again, and I liked it more. I was like, for some reason, maybe it's because I was in a good mood that night. It was the right mood. Mood is so much to whiskey, in my opinion. Like,
oh yeah,
whiskey can always be good, but if you're in the right mood with the right whiskey, it's magic. I wasn't quite there, but I was there, and I was like, oh, like, I'm kind of liking this a little bit more tonight. What's wrong with me? Like, I hate black licorice, but that's all I'm tasting. But I was liking it. And then New Year's, it was New Year's Eve. I want to say, God, I don't know, 2016. I'm over at a friend's a place. He's got a nice whiskey bar, right? At this time, I thought Oban 14 was my whiskey. I'd go to that. Oban 14 was like my gateway into Scotch. It was my euphoria moment, my first euphoria moment with Scotch. And he's got a bottle of Ardbeg Ugadal. And I'm like, what's up with this? And he's like, oh yeah, you got to try this. It's a smoky whiskey, whatever. I poured a glass of that because I was like, I remembered the Lefroy 10 I had, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I poured a glass of that, man.
And hold your nose before you drink it.
And as the clock was hitting midnight in the District of Columbia, I was sipping this Ardbeg Ugadal, and I was just mind blowing. I was like, I had no idea whiskey could be this good and this interesting, and I was just in love. I remember I had this shit-eating grin on my face, and I think I annoyed at least one person because I was like, have you had this? You have to try this whiskey. This is unbelievable. Like, it's so sweet, but yet it's got this like smoky bonfire thing, and I'm just like fucking acting like a weirdo. I drank 2 glasses of it that night, man, and I remember I went home the next day while I was hungover on New Year's Day. I was on the DC, liberal with their shipping. I was on the internet looking for Ardbegs, and I got an Ardbeg Ugadal and an Ardbeg 10, and I had it shipped to me, and I was locked in, man. So it was an evolution. Like I moved in stages, but boy, man, it was not only one of the moments of Scotch of my life that just like that moment on your journey when you have something that just transcends what you thought whiskey could be. That's what I had with Ugadal that night, and that started it. I got myself an Ardbeg 10. I got myself an Lefroy quarter cask, and I was locked in.
Yeah, that quarter cask. That's one of my favorite Lefroy.
Yeah. Oh man.
Between the quarter cask and the 10 cask strength, you really don't need any other Lefroys, honestly. I mean, the Kyrgyzs are sometimes hit and misses. The Laura is always good if you can afford it, but man, if you're tight on funds, the 10 cask strength from Lefroy and the quarter cask, if you can only get 2 bottles, those are the 2 from those guys to get, I'd say. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for like Lefroys that are worth your money at not breaking the bank, yeah, the number one for sure. And I will go out on a limb and say probably the number one Lefroy and number one Isla whiskey fucking period is Lefroy 10 cask strength. I don't think you can mess with that for the money, for the complexity, the intensity. I'm sorry, man. I don't know. I'll go to war for Lefroy 10 cask strength any day. I got a batch 4 behind me from 2012. Let me tell you, that is stellar. But batch 10, still my favorite. Lefroy 10 cask strength, $70. It is light years better than anything else Lefroy puts out on their core range, for sure.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think stacks up with it is, we get into the Ugadal, Corey Brecken's, Lagavulin 12 cask strength, but that's $70 more. Yeah, I mean, those are I think the quintessential, just best Islas.
I'm with you. The only one I would add to your list that I think you might agree. I don't know, because you're not. I don't think you're as big a fan as I am. But do you like the original cask strength of the Kilchoman release?
Yeah, I have a 2016 actually. Yeah, I like it. I do. I wouldn't put it at Lefroy 10 level personally.
Did you say it was 2016?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see something, because there was 2 releases of that, and if it's the one I'm thinking, that might be the reason why you were not a big of a fan, because their first release of that was not that great, but the second release of it was really damn good.
I mean, I like it. I'll be clear. I like it. I wouldn't put it above Ugadal, Corey Brecken, or Lefroy 10 cask strength. That's just where I'm at. It's right there. It's right there.
The 2014 release is the old one I'm thinking of that wasn't all that great. It was like a 3.5 out of 5 type of whiskey. But
Yeah.
the one from 2016 typically rates around a 4 out of 5. It's right up there with these guys. I think um, if you like a peanut brittle type of a taste, that's what I got all day long with that Kilhoman original. That's the only one I would put in the trifecta of great Isla malts with the cask strength 10 and the quarter cask, the Lagavulin 16 and distillers.
Oh yeah, Distiller's Edition. That's one of those whiskeys where like somehow the finish made it like not better, but it added something. You know, it didn't just cover something.
Yeah, the only thing about Lagavulins are, you're right, man. To get the really good ABV, man, they want you to go like this all day long, which drives me crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I got a Fee Seal 2017 here, which was like way more money than I'd want to spend, and a couple of Jazz Fests, which are like just over the top, stupid priced. You know?
Those are great bottles, though, from what I've heard. I've never
They
had.
are, but god damn, man, the price is nuts.
That's the only bottle I've never tried from a Lagavulin is a Jazz Festival bottle. So
We're
yeah,
gonna call them soon.
that would be awesome, man. Because I'm definitely looking forward to trying the
Yeah, for
any
sure,
jazz
man.
festival.
I'm gonna jump in quick and mention just two things. So we gotta just again during this conversation, is anybody not smiling? Because it's so fun to talk about these stories of when we first got into Pete, right? Cohen is here saying, I was 8 in 1978 when I had Johnny Walker Black. I had Beam White Label a few years earlier and I hated it. But when I had Scotch, it was a whole different thing. Yeah, man, right on. T squared. The best whiskey experience was SMWS Inchamurin, which has gone out. I could just sip on a dram for hours. It was so good. It was like Mortlock, Blaaack, and Kleinleash had a 17-year-old love child.
That's an awesome description, man.
Man, that's so good. That's so good. I mean,
Mortlock, you got your great sherry notes. The Blaaack, you got great Oloroso notes if it's a sherried version, which I love the 15. And the Kleinleash has that great mouthfeel in the
yeah.
That's like a dream whiskey right there, man. You just gave me honestly a great idea for a blend. If I had like a Mortlock, maybe just even if it was just a 12, something not overly expensive, but just something to give it like a little savory kick. If I had that Blaaack 15 and I had the Kleinleash 14 and I had like I'm not sure if a 3-way ratio would work, but if I did it right, I bet you that would be a kick-ass tram, man.
Yeah, dude, for sure. That's awesome, man. I mean, like, I just can't. I can't get the smile off my face. This is too much fun, man. Just like everybody's sharing their like euphoria moments with good whiskey.
I didn't know Kilhoman I didn't know
Hey, I'm gonna go get a little bit more water, and then we can jump into this Ardbeg. So I'll be right back.
All right, man. I didn't know that Kilhoman had a Christmas cask strength release. Jack, that's cool. I'll have to take a look and see about that. Still very young, much at heart, not adverse to bottle swig from time to time. I hear you there, Welsh. Same here, buddy. I'm really glad that you're able to make it too. You and Dram. He's still working. Oh, you'll be smiling here when you're off work, man. Just a cut. Hopefully, a few more minutes if we're lucky. But now I'm a host. I will also always be chasing it. Well, have you ever tried to do your own blends, T Squared? This is no joke. Wow, a 15. Don't want to have to baby my Scotch. Yeah, that's a good. The Solera release is such a great, straightforward bottle. Where was that combination that you had about the? Yeah, have you ever tried? I mean, I would seriously try it. Get you the Mortlock. I would actually probably only do like maybe a couple ounces of to start with. I mean, I'm talking about like trying to well, I guess it depends on how much you want to make, but just as a test, I would do like maybe a half ounce of the Mortlock, 2 ounces of a Blaaack 15 Adela, and 2 ounces of a Kleinleash 14. I'd love to know what that would taste like together. 17 years is going to be tough to simulate that. I guess if you got an old Mortlock, but at least a Mortlock 12, a Bedlock 215, and a Kleinleash 14. I'm wondering how that would go if you were able to put those together. Yeah, that is the tough one, man. It's like I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to remember how much the Mortlock 12 goes for. Hey, Mom, I was just trying to think of how much the. Do you remember what that Wee Witchy bottle went for? It was like 55 or something.
55, yeah, around
It's a little
that.
on the pricey side. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I was not a huge fan of it. But,
Did you ever try the Gordon McPhail's version of Mortlock before?
No, I've not. I've not had a lot of Mortlocks. I know what I've heard pretty much universally from whiskey folks that I trust is that, which is basically everybody, is that the independent bottlings of Mortlock are always much better.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed myself. I'm kind of still tempted to get an old distillery version at some point, but it is going to be last on my list probably through the muckety muck of getting different bottles and stuff. They have that 20-year-old Cowie's. It's like Cowie something or other. I might try, but you're right. I've heard that the Gordon McPhail's and some of the signatories and some of those releases for the Mortlocks, if you get a good price on one. And if you get, Kleinleash 14 goes for around 74, and the Blaaack Adela 15 goes for like 100. They're pricey, but if you already have those three, man, I'd love to do a blend and see how that would go.
Yeah.
But
all right, man. What do you think? Should we dive into the face off? Face off.
Yes. Yes, I've already poured out a bit of the CR and the LR on the side.
Me too.
Just having it air out a little bit, and I guess we'll start with the L. I guess.
Yeah. Do you want to introduce it? I don't know. You have the box for that one. I know. I think
sure.
So. You can talk about that, and I'll show the bottle of the other one here.
Yeah, let's start off with this guy. This is the limited release. This comes out after the committee. The committee releases typically get launched here, and I'm talking about here as in Maryland, Virginia area in March of the year. Early March is when late February is usually when I know when I could get my hands on one, and I'll be probably one of the first ones to get the new Ardbeg. I think the next one's going to be called the Scorch. They also have one called the Ardbeg, which is out now, I think. If it's not, it's going to be released pretty soon.
Head tribute one with the rye or whatever, yeah.
That's the Ardbeg one. And then the Scorch is going to be a dragon cask something or other. I'm hoping they're not getting too crazy on the marketing for some of this stuff. It's like, man,
I think the same reputation on Ardbeg's market. They rival maybe only Highland Park.
Yeah, those two companies, man, are out for each other's throats when it comes to going over the top for. As long as it tastes good, I don't care what they use in it. As long as it's not poisonous. There you go.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
These usually come out in March for the committee. These come out after a few months in July or August, typically when you get your hands on the after. And the Scorch box will look like this. The committee released bottles don't come with boxes typically,
right.
But the limited ones do have a nice kind of a box that you can get with it. This is 46%, also the same as the 10, thankfully. This one is going to be different, though, than the committee that we'll have in a little bit. This one is the same type of cask, though. This is New Zealand Pinot Noir casks. And this is going to be a maturation. And the bottling is the first time that they've ever done these type of casks. But it is maturation, not just a finish in this. The committee releases were at 50.7. These were at 46. And usually that's how all their committee releases work when they go to the limited release afterward.
Yep.
This one's from June of 2020 is when this officially came out, was June of last year.
Yeah, and I wonder, Telex, should we just kind of should we side by side both of them at the same time on the nose taste finish, or should we do one completely and then the other? I don't know how you want to approach it.
Since we're doing a comparison, let's do them together because it probably will make the most sense, because if you don't do them together, I think we will probably lose some of the nuances between the two.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I can talk a little bit about the committee release. So this is the Ardbeg committee release of Black. This is also from 2020, the committee release. Right around the early beginnings of March, if you're looking for a bottle of these, go hit up your liquor store and ask them if they got some in the back. They might have a couple. This one, unfortunately, like the prices went up a lot last year. I think this was close to like 140, 130. Again, fully matured in Pinot Noir casks. This is 50.7 ABV, so a little bit higher on the ABV is normally the case with the committee release. You'll know it's a committee release because it has this tan label versus the black label of the limited release. A bunch of marketing fluff on the back about it, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, that's basically the tail of the tape on this. It doesn't, again, explicitly talk about its filter. It does say non-chill filtered. I'm sorry. It says non-chill filtered. It doesn't talk about the color, but I think we know that it's naturally colored for Ardbeg, but it doesn't say it, so we can't be sure. This is the 20th anniversary limited edition. And yeah, you know, they got a bunch of talk on the back about the black and the black sheep and all the marketing fluff. That is what it is. But yeah, so that's the major difference here is we're looking at about, 4.7 higher ABV and, that's that.
We're still here, Stephen. I hope we didn't lose you. Everything else looks pretty good. I think we're okay. Stephen might be having some.
Oh, did we lose our stream?
No, I think we're good. I think Stephen might be having some problems, possibly, but we'll keep going. I haven't seen any issues. Let us know if you guys can hear us okay, or if there's any problems going on. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, let us know for sure. Sorry, we don't want to continue this without everybody's.
Let me see. Let me wait for a comment here. I'm back. Oh, okay. Are we doing okay, Steven, still, or do we lose people?
I think we're good. We're seeing Samuel Kess is our big fanboy. Cohen is
good. Okay, we're good. All right. Sorry, but I just want to make sure that we weren't having some crazy lag or something. You know what's the first thing I noticed on these two? No joke. The color is so different.
Yeah, they are. I was just about to say, do you want to hold up the limited and I'll hold up the committee and we can just show the color difference here? So this is the committee release, and then I'll wait for, yeah, you can kind of tell, like.
Let me get the white balance here 1 second, because the committee release is a lot darker to me.
It is a lot darker. Yeah.
You can't really tell them on the, I think our cameras are a little different where it might not
be. Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, here, I'll try holding both of them up. So, like, committee is the.
Can you hold it up so I can't see it in the frame?
Yeah, committee is the one over here, and then this one.
Can you move your finger?
I'll try.
Yeah, I know it's tough because it's like, just trust it.
There's definitely a color difference. There's no doubt. The committee looks darker and a little cloudier, but
yeah. It is higher ABV. I'm not sure if it is. It could be. I mean, since they don't put an age statement on it, the committee could be a little bit older, and we not even know it. That's
yeah. Possible. We have no idea. I mean, speculation is these are maybe in that, like, I don't know, 7 to 9 range. Who knows?
And to go the extra mile for you guys, I did contact Ardbeg officially, and I did try to get some more information about how old is the whiskey in the black versus the regular 10, and in the CR, the committee, the LR, the limited, and they also had a bus that went around with a souped up version of a committee release for the black too, which was like 58% ABV. That was
man, I about that.
I wish I went to the bus tour. The only reason I didn't go to the bus tour because I already had the committee and the limited, so I missed out on that one. But I didn't know they were going to do a third version, on the bus. But I doubt it was that different, than the other two. To be honest with you,
sure.
But I'm very excited to get into these.
So what did they say? Did they write back to you?
Oh, I'm sorry. And they wrote back, and I was like, I've got a couple people that are really adamant about this whiskey being very young, and they're being, I tried to get them excited about giving me some information, but they were still tight-lipped about the whole thing, man. Yeah. I was so determined to get just a little bit of information out of, hey, there might be some 4-year-old stuff in there, but there's also some 15-year-old stuff, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They wouldn't budge, unfortunately, but I did try my damnedest to get an answer for you guys.
Well, there you go, folks. That.
Sorry.
You need to know. We tried. We tried to get you all the most info you can. Thank you.
Sorry, it was a little bit of a long dud, I guess.
These it's all matured in New Zealand Pinot Noir.
It's like
you know about that? It's a dark red wine.
It's like one of those firecrackers that you light. It's got the long fuse, and you light it, and you're excited, and it's going, and it gets to the very end, it's going to explode, and then it just dies. Sorry, I just had to bring that up.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, so far there's a noticeable color difference. I mean, I think that the committee release is definitely darker. Let's give the nose. You'll start with the LR on the nose.
Sure, I'm just trying to make sure I keep them separate so I don't get them mixed up at all. But thankfully, the color is dark enough on that committee where I can definitely tell a difference.
Yeah.
Viscosity on the limited is still really good, holds up well.
Yeah, definitely is. It's very Ardbeg on the nose. Again, we were just drinking that 10. It has a lot of that like it's fresh, but it has those this has darker red fruit kind of thing going on, of course, from the Pinot. It smells. This smells like a less sweet version of the Dark Cove limited release.
Exactly. Yeah. It's Dark Cove-esque, but it's definitely more on the strawberry side versus the cherry compote side. It's more of a strawberry.
Very fresh. I mean, like fresh. It just smells like it's you walked into a lawn that was just cut. I mean. Really, really fresh, but God, that Pinot, that dark, it's like a dark chocolate cherry kind of strawberry note is there, and it's well balanced.
Yeah, it's got some cream. That's those strawberry creams that have the swirls, candies. That's what it reminds me of on the nose a lot.
A little prickly on the nose. I mean, it's really fresh. This reminds me more of like a Lafroy in the way that it's like jumping out of the glass with that cold, almost like quasi peppermint iodine thing. Like it's a bit, that medicinal.
Yeah, it's got some medicinal quality to this.
Yeah. It seems like a bit louder here than I expected, but it's nice. Now I'm going to switch over to the limited.
Yeah, it's got to look up
the committee.
Yeah, let me give it a little bit of a swirl.
Yeah,
and it's funny. It's got less of a ring, but I think it's only because of the higher ABV. It doesn't stay up there.
You're right. Yeah,
much at all.
Not
there.
At all. I mean, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
It's weird how a little bit of ABV will make a big difference on that ring that you get.
Yeah, and just to remind folks, I mean, this is the committee release is about 4.7% higher ABV, 46 versus 50.7. Boy, major difference on the nose. I'm picking up. This one is heavier on the bourbony, like treacle, like or as they say in the UK, here, toffee butterscotch. That the fruit note is actually a little bit more subdued, but it's in the background and accenting it really nice.
I'm getting more spice.
That's an interesting one. Yeah, chimney soot too, just ashiness.
I'm getting a hell of a lot more spices on this one than I am the other one too. Like a good nutmeg, and there's some really good. Oh man, nutmeg's like the first thing. There's also like a little, like a hint of cinnamon and something else. I'm trying to pull it out.
I mean, it's like burnt toffee. Or like burnt sugar, like on a, I don't know what to say.
It's definitely more
caramelized sugar.
Yeah, it's this also has more smokiness to me than the other one does.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that. But a lot more. What I was picking up is freshness and kind of like a slight mintiness on the limited is much more that charcoal, that dank, chimney smoke.
Yeah, this has soot. It has like a soot kind of a thing going on.
Soot, yeah, and cherries. God, cherries for days.
Yeah, this. Yeah, the limited is more of a strawberry puree. This is more of in the cherry, not as deep as like currants or plums or anything like that, but it's definitely got like that. You could definitely get the Pinot Noir casks a little bit more on this committee than you can the limited. That's amazing. What 4% and a little bit longer in the cask.
Between these two, and Trooper Henry is beaming his signal from the middle of the Gulf on the rig. Solancha, my friend, you came at the right time. We're about to do a little head-to-head with the Ardbeg Blaaack Limited versus Committee. Great to have you in the house, buddy. Thank you for giving us your attention while you're out there doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, I hope that you're doing okay down there, Trooper, and thanks for all the work you do. I'm sure what you do probably has a lot to do with getting gas in our car, so I'm appreciative no matter what kind of energy I get sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know, Telex, what do you think, like, I mean, if you were going to give one of these the edge nose-wise, which way do you go?
That is a really it's actually funny because to me it's tougher than what you would think. I mean, on paper you would think it'd be easier to give the committee an edge up, but honestly, I think it really depends on what you are in the mood for. As far as if you are wanting more of a lighter, more on the strawberry realm, fruit wise, not as smoky, but you still want a little bit of peat. You don't want the Ardbeg 10. You want something a little different, just enough to give it an edge sweetness-wise. Then the limited is where I would go. But if you are looking for that, this is just going by nose,
right?
More of that well-rounded earthiness and savoriness and spiciness and just a better all-around dram complexity-wise, I would go for the committee as far as. Yeah,
I'm kind of with you on that. I mean, it's a little bit of a rub, but I think I go for the committee.
Only for complexity.
It's got more depth, but I think both of them are quite nice.
Exactly. Like I score on specifically just the nose, not even talking water, but just the nose itself. It's really head to head to me because it depends on what mood I'm in, really.
Yeah. All right, well, going for a taste of the limited?
Yeah. That's good, but I'm getting a lot of the bourbon cask notes on it.
Big time. Spicy, too. Wow. Really spicy.
You started with the limited, right?
Yep. Very bourbony. The berry notes, the cherry is like, I mean, it's still damn good. It's enjoyable, but boy, you can tell this one is young. It's so like the youthfulness of this is just bursting through that barrel influence. Pretty damn tasty though.
Yeah, for me, it's so tough because the cask is so damn good that it masks that the youthfulness that a lot of you guys are able to detect out of this, and that's what's so frustrating to me sometimes is that I want to be able to taste this more youthful spirit, but it's really hard to dig out because these casks are I think it's easier to dig it out on this versus the next one we do. That's for sure, though. Yeah, it's funny because you do get kind of like it's not like a green banana, but it's like what is that? That Bondo putty kind of a
yeah.
Yeah. That model putty kind of
I mean, nice development, but boy, does it get spicy quick. Like the dry, the spice, it's like almost immediate on the development. Like you get some of that sweetness for a second, and medium finish, it's not bad.
Wait till you have this other one. I think you're going to think this other one is even more spicy. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I'm about to do it. So we'll do committee release now.
Yeah, like you said, it's a good taste. It's a little short on the finish on that first one, but let's see what we get on
Well,
this.
mm,
Oh man, the fruit to me is so much better on this one.
yeah, for sure. Oh, and it just develops a lot longer, and I don't get nearly as much spice on this. I mean, it's there, but it seems more balanced.
Yeah, I think the cherries are so much more in your face. The sweetness and the tartness combined together, and that's what
Wow.
to me makes this dram shine so much. Is that you get the tart cherries, you get some sweet cherries, you
Yeah.
get the cream, you get the vanillas, you get your toffees, you get your treacle, you get, and the finish to me is so much longer on this committee. It's
Yeah. I
weird.
mean, this is really stark. I feel like it's oilier. It's much more. You get a lot more of that cherry cordial kind of thing, which I think is one of the hallmarks of this whiskey.
Oh wow, yeah.
I mean, that's
It's a
a big difference. God,
it's
there's even like a meatiness to it, like almost like a borderlining on barbecue, like a kind of a dry rub barbecue thing going on.
Yeah, I mean this is a funny thing is like sometimes with some of these dark like the Dark Cove I think is a good example where you can get differences, but it's not like it's in your face. But some of these you get the differences, and it's like night and day difference. I think the same thing happened to me on the Kelpie. Like the Kelpie limited release was
Mm-hmm.
decent. It was decent, but that committee release was so damn good, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about their committee releases, but if you can save up the extra $20 and wait in line or do some digging and to find a committee release, it's definitely worth your while if you have an outlet to find one. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I also heard from a lot, like more than one person, that the drum committee or the drum limited release was a lot of folks felt was actually better than the committee release, which
That
is
happens too.
yeah,
That
which
does
is interesting. But yeah,
Thankfully, that's a rarity, though. The only time I've ever seen that happen with, I'm looking down to the other side. I've got all my Ardbeg stuff on the other side of the room, but
the
there's,
boneyard.
with the grooves, the Dark Cove, the Kelpie, the drum was like the only one. Even the Perpetuum versus the and the I'm trying to think of the one before that. I'm was it the Era Verdes? Maybe I don't think they had two versions of that though. I can't remember the.
No, they didn't.
I'm kind of trying to remember all the ones they had two versions of, but I think the drum was the only one where the second release actually did better than the first. But don't quote me on that forever. Like I haven't had all the old ones. I've had most of the old ones, but so far I know the Alligator was the same on the committee and the limited, so that one doesn't factor in. There's a couple versions where they weren't different. I think the Dark Cove might have been one of those rare ones where the only difference was not the make; it was just the ABV difference. But
Yeah,
after the Dark Cove, they actually have different makes, and I think that's why you see such a stark difference between the committee and the limited on this black release.
yeah. I'm honestly kind of surprised at the level of difference here. Like, I just put some water on the limited, and I'm not picking up a lot more on the nose. It's still like an enjoyable enough nose. You do get that red fruit cherry, sooty thing going on, which is enjoyable, but
I'm gonna try a little bit of water on
it's
that.
still just so fresh. It's still like I think the youthfulness stands out quite a bit on this.
Do you think it stands out more on the limited versus the committee, or do you think
Yeah, most definitely. I
that's
think
what I
the
would?
higher ABV, which is just a way for distilleries to mask it, just like whatever finishes. I think it's definitely working its charm here.
Yeah, I put a couple of drops to see if I can detect any difference on the limited. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean I think the nose is still like it's a little bit more in balance and a little bit less of that fresh assertiveness with water, but I can't say explicitly, like I can't say significantly. I'm about to go in for a second taste, but I'll wait for you.
I think the only difference I can detect on the nose, I think it is a little bit more savory, maybe more chocolate on the nose.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But that's the only difference I can detect on that.
Oh, wow, much better on the palate.
That did wake it up a bit.
Creamier.
And it still retains a little bit of the spice kick at the end too, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. Still pretty short on the finish, though. The finish on it is too damn short.
Exactly. That's my only beef with the big beef with the limited black is that, man. I mean, I'm with it for the nose and the palate, initial palate. After that, man, it's just so like light.
Yeah.
And it's not like that with that committee. That committee really, I mean, we haven't done the water thing yet, but I can only imagine that it's even better, you know.
Yep. Yeah, man. I feel like I want more out of this.
Out of the limited one or the committee?
Yeah, the limited. I really like what water's done to the palate and opened it up. It's sweeter. It's a little bit more in balance. It's a little creamier, but man, that finish drops off quick.
Yeah, it does. That's a shame too, because it's got a lot of potential if they kept that high ABV. And I'm not even sure, they might even left it longer in the cask a little bit for that committee. But whatever they've done is definitely a big plus. I think. I don't think it was just a watering down. Do you? It doesn't seem like it was just a watering down from 50 to me at all.
Yeah, hard to tell. I'm gonna go for a little water on the committee.
It seems like it's definitely all around make is different.
Yeah, it feels like it. Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, you know, they're pretty obtuse about it, unfortunately.
I mean, the nose enough. I mean, just the bare, neat nose is just so crazy different between these two. Wow, I'm gonna put a couple drops on it too to see if.
I mean, it's just such an interesting contrast because so many people felt like, despite the Ardbeg drums committee release being the higher ABV and all that, that the limited release was better, and it might have just been because of the maturation and the way they did it, right? Like, it was heavy-handed. Like with rum, it wasn't heavy-handed and overtaking the you know, the other flavors you expect out of an Ardbeg. Whereas with this one, I just feel like the youthfulness of that, the LR is really asserting itself. That finish just drops off. That finish drops off like the goddamn tail of cake, man. Like, it just drops off quick. I'm actually surprised at it's short to short medium.
Yeah, you're right. That's definitely going to get knocked down hardcore on the score on that one.
Yeah, this comparison is interesting. So this one, I feel like with water, I'm getting more citrus, lemon, lime stuff. But there's, again, that cherry note is also just really there. The sootiness, it seems like to be holding itself together okay with water. I did about 3 drops.
Yeah, I did the same. And the first 2 things that came to my mind before you even said the citrus thing was oranges and lemons. For the
yeah, oranges, man, for sure, for sure.
Definitely orangey. You can detect the spice is going to
be those mandarin oranges.
Oh wow! Oh man, what kills me is how much better the bourbon cask tastes on this committee. Those bourbon notes, man, are so much more in your face on this one.
Yeah,
it's got that root beer kind of note that you were talking about.
The cola, the like effervescent. I feel like it's, oh man. I mean, it's good. Like, it's good.
I mean, even if you still detect the youthful whiskey in this black, and I know a lot of people think
not as much on the committee at all.
It doesn't seem like it's. Yeah, I mean, to me, they're not even the same whiskey. It's kind of funny that they have the same name.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I guess, you know, why you do it. I'm surprised. I didn't realize it would be this stark.
I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I thought we were going to get to these, and we were going to say, well, we enjoyed them, but yet we did detect the youthful,
I feel like we got to. Yeah, I feel like we got to get the. I shuddered at the idea of spending the money, but I feel like we need to get a couple samples of the drum committee release and the drum LR, because I heard the opposite. People were bullish on the LR in comparison. Oh God, I mean this isn't even a contest. I don't even know what to say. Like, this is fun though, man. I'm like, the finish on this is so much longer.
I'm so glad
you dried coffee, dried honey, peanut brittle, the cherry notes, the cordial cherry, the black cherry, the effervescent, the black cherry cola, the soot, that just depth of just an incredibly dark ashiness of this Ardbeg is rolling through the finish here. It is still a medium long finish on the committee. I mean,
isn't it amazing how
unbelievable.
Isn't it amazing how the cask notes come out so much more on the committee? It's like
4% ABV is no slouch, but ABV, much like finishes, are a way for distilleries to either mask a bad batch or make a youthful whiskey a little better, and there's sometimes middling results. And I don't know, I won't say this was a bad batch, because I actually think, judging on the committee release here, impressive, but wow, I mean, what a difference. I mean, this is much starker than I expected.
Yeah, if you're going to spend $100 plus, like $150 on any whiskey, I would definitely get the committee before I would get the limited on.
Yeah, that. Unfortunately, they're going to be around $300 these days. But I mean, you want to do? I'm willing to go final scores on this if you want to. You want to go first, or me, whatever.
I'll go ahead and go. Basically, I know a lot of people have mixed feelings on this release. This is after the drum. A lot of guys are kind of hesitant to pick out the yearly Ardbeg releases. And I understand the hesitancy after the drum, issue, but it's even if there is some young whiskey in this, which I'm not debating that, because I do detect it more with this limited edition. I'll be honest, I do see it here. I don't see it near as much with the committee release. With that said, this LR version, I'm sure it's being priced at 110 to 120 still, whatever, but I wouldn't even spend 55 to 60 on it. I don't think it's that great of a whiskey, to be honest with you. Wow. Yeah, the limited one, I'm kind of like, I mean, I don't have buyer's remorse, but I definitely would not put this in the same class as any of the other ones. Maybe the drum limited or, basic release might be the next to, equal one. But the committee, man, to me was still a knockout like I thought it was the first time. I gave it a 4.25 on the committee the first time, and I'm still going to give it a 4.25 on that. This one, though, this limited release on the Black, man, let me have one more sip before I
trash. Yeah, just make sure, right? You gotta make sure.
Oh, well.
Here I was trying to save some of it, thinking I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a gem."
Yeah, exactly. And I, it's not a bad whiskey. It's just I'm gonna pour just one more little quick sip just to see if it's as young and uneventful as I find it the first time after having that committee again. 1 second, let me get a quick palate cleanser, because the finish on that committee is still going. That's how good it is.
God damn, man, that limited, what a drop! It drops off off a fucking cliff, man. It's like, you remember a couple weeks ago when we were doing the Glenmorangie Taylor Cake, and I was prattling on about how man, it arrives and the nose is so great and the arrival's so great, and then it just freaking takes the nosedive. I don't think this is as stark as it is with the cake, but
it's close though, man. I'm with you. And the more I have of this, comparatively, the Yeah, I mean it's above average, but not by much. I'm going to give the limited release a 3.25. It's to me, it's like barely above what a good average whiskey would be. I do like the cast they chose on it. To me, like it's really kind of funny when you compare these two, how much better the committee release is to me on this one. So I'm going to say 3.25 on the limited, 4.25 on the committee.
Right on, man. Yeah, I can go. I don't do. I mean, I'm relatively in the same park as you. I'm a bit shocked and also just disappointed, maybe to some degree.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I'm surprised.
I think the committee release is a huge step up from the committee release drum. And again, I want to just preface this: the committee releases are not easy to get, and if you can't get it at the 130 or whatever it was this year, next year it'll probably be 150. I'm not even going to suggest you go out and spend that much money on one of these NAS Ardbegs when there are other Ardbegs out there. But I think this Pinot Noir committee release is probably worth it at 150 if you still find it. I think it's really good. I think it's got a nice finish. It's well balanced. I think it's a huge step up from the drum. I'm bullish on this one. I'm a 4 out of 5 on this. I really do think I recommend picking it up if it's at the right price. Maybe I'd go to 375 on my scale, which is try it, but get it only at a good price. Do not spend $300 on this whiskey. That is what you will see in a lot of places. It ain't worth $300.
I would be depressed if I spent $300 on
that. Yeah, for sure. But it's good. It is. They did a good job with this, and I'll go to the mat on that. It's uncontroversial. As far as this limited release goes, man, I'm having the point of reference of the committee release.
He's speechless.
To just know what it could be has been revelatory. I'm really disappointed in this. I think it arrives. Its nose is okay. It arrives really great for about a half second to a second, and then it descends into what to me is just a throwaway whiskey. I'm disappointed in it. I hope others can enjoy it, but at 100 to 110 price, this is a no for me at all. I'm gonna, maybe this is even generous, but I'm gonna give this a 2.5 out of 5, which is definitely try before you buy. I won't go 2.25 because I don't think it's that horrible. I don't think it's, or not horrible. Let me take that back. I don't think it's that bad. But this is a classic example of a whiskey that you need to go to your friend's house and drink a sip of this before you drop $110 fucking on.
Yeah.
And if they don't have it, maybe you go to a whiskey bar. I think you really need to know if you like what's coming in this. Not because it's like a unique, nuanced flavor, but rather if you're willing to spend the money on something that, in my opinion, doesn't deliver nearly on what you should expect. We're talking 46% alcohol whiskeys. The Ardbeg 10 absolutely crushes this, even with its cool maturation, which I like in the committee release. Yeah, I'm 2.5, and that's maybe generous. I might even push it to 2.25. In fact, I will. I'm going to go 2.25 on this.
He's really feeling this one.
Nah, man. Unless you know you want this, and for whatever reason, like at that price, I'm sorry, I keep thinking about that price point. I keep thinking about me walking into a store and seeing this for $120 and looking at that packaging, which I love of Ardbeg, by the way. They got great packaging and marketing, despite how over the top it is. This is a disappointment. I can't put it any other way. Yeah, 2.25. So I'm going 4 on the committee release and 2.25 on the limited.
No, I think you nailed it, man. Isn't it crazy how different they are? And neither one of us, both of us are huge Ardbeg fans, and we were surprised at how different these were.
Boy, man, that first 2 seconds of that limited release, you're like, hell yeah. But then it's just like, I just took a sip while we were saying that sentence. Nothing. It's just, I got a little bit of vague cherry, vague vanilla. There's this nothing.
Dissipation, yeah. It's like the master of dissipation.
So fast. It drops off. This is one of the shortest. I think the Ardbeg Drum Committee release is better than this.
Wow, man.
It drops off so fast. The finish on this is beyond disappointing.
I probably feel the same way about
shameful. This is shameful.
The limited drum kind of gave me that kind of a feeling too.
But boy, man, when it arrives, you think you're in for a treat. And that's what pisses me off the most about this limited release. When you smell it and get that first second of taste, you're like, oh yeah, this is going to be good. And boy, does that drop off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 2.25. So Telex is 3.25 and 4.25. LRCR, I am 2.25 and 4 on committee. So there you go, y'all. We've survived an Ardbeg taste test, and goddamn, I love Ardbeg.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the funny thing. Even Ardbeg's worst is a lot better than a lot of people's best. So that will,
yeah,
for me at least. I mean, I know this one's a rougher one than what we're used to seeing from Ardbeg as far as their regular-ish releases, but I have had a lot worse than the finish. Though
I'm just gonna say right now, man. I'm just gonna say right now with this one, fuck this whiskey, man. That's bullshit.
He's had it. He's frustrated, but no, I understand. I know it's that's a painful thing when you're spending over. Once you get above $100 on a whiskey, you want it to dance, you want it to sing, you want it to do as much as it can, because that's not cheap.
Most sources, you can't believe we're discussing whether a $203 NAS is worth it or not. I mean, I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think there are a lot of good NAS whiskeys that may or may not be worth the price. I mean, not 400 pounds. I mean, if that's the price you're looking at, yeah, I agree. I'm judging this committee release on its merits. I'm basically saying it's a good whiskey. I don't think it's necessarily worth 300 fucking pounds or $300. But I'll tell you this much. The limited release ain't even worth 50 pounds. Like, that is, well, okay, not 50. It's not worth 75 pounds. I mean, there's a lot of NAS whiskeys, man. Like, let's be real. Glenrothes whiskey cut, Ardbeg Ugadal, Ardbeg Corey Brecken. We can go down the list. There's definitely a few that are worth good money, but I don't know if they're worth that much money.
No, yeah.
Unless you get this at when it's released, as I said explicitly, do not go out and spend $300 on the fucking committee release Ardbeg. It's not worth it.
Yeah, I mean, the most I would go for a bottle of the Committee Black. I mean, I do think it's great. I gave it a 4.25. I still stick by that even now, even though there might be young whiskey in it. Man, the cask on this kicks most casks out the wazoo. I can't find a better cask whiskey, honestly, than this one from this last year. I just can't think of one that's better. So that says a lot in itself. But I would go as high as 150 to 175. I think on this bottle. I think
I'd pay 150.
Yeah,
that's probably my limit.
That's where I would go, and I definitely think it's worth 150 every day of the week on this one, especially 3 years.
God, man. I'm sorry to interject. I just took another sip of this limited release, and I'm so freaking pissed off. Like, I literally, like, I didn't expect a world beater, but I expected more. What's really bothering me about this is how great the first couple seconds of it are. Like, I took that first sip and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I can't believe how fast this drops off. Like, it just dissipates into thin air.
I'm going to try a little bit more.
I'm just so perplexed by this. It's really it's really disappointing. I can't believe people say the limited release drum is better than the limited release or the committee release drum. Given this experience, I have to try that limited release drum because I thought the committee release was just paltry at best. Yeah. This drops off so fast.
The only thing I could think of is maybe with the drum, it's different because maybe with that rum cask that they're using, maybe it benefits off a lower ABV. That could be the magic.
Yes, I mean, that has to be the case.
Oh man. Yeah, it's I like the it's funny. I like the 10 notes I get out of this one on the limited black, but those are my when you get when your favorite thing is the base whiskey, then you know you're in trouble already. Because the Terry rope, the you know the wet like leather is what I get most of it. And to me, that's not what I'm going for. I want that Pinot Noir cask, and I can't.
This whiskey's fucked, man. This is just shit. I'm sorry. I'm so disappointed. I can't believe the drop off difference here. And like, yeah, it's really annoying. I think there's a healthy amount of good NAS. Okay, Welsh Toro made a great point. Is there an NAS whiskey that I think is worth 200 pounds, which is the equivalent of $250? No. But do I think that they're like, but again, if you get this at the right price when it comes out, it's more like 100 pounds.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
There's
true.
a lot of good NAS whiskeys. You know, Glen Scotia Victoriana, which is what I just saw brought up. Aberlour Abuna. Like, there's a bunch of good ones. But I'm not saying that they're $300 level. So, no. Like, secondary or, like, allocated scarcity prices notwithstanding. What I'm saying is that at the price that you can get it at when it comes out, I think this is fine at 120, 130 bucks, because I can't imagine Pinot Noir casks are that cheap. That said, so I agree with Toro on that, but what I would say is, like, his point is totally makes logical sense. Anybody paying $200 for this, which is what, 250 bucks, is a fool. 270 bucks, absolutely not.
Right. There's only one NAS whiskey that I ever spent $300 on that's justified. I would not normally, under any circumstance, spend more than $150 on an NAS whiskey, no matter what it is. Victoriana is a really good example of a great $100 NAS whiskey, and you mentioned some other ones too. But for me, the only whiskey I ever bought that was NAS, that was, I mean, and technically it's not an NAS because it's got 13-year juice in it, I know for a fact. But
well, it's NAS insofar as it's NAS. Right?
It's the Ardbeg was the one I spent.
Kilholman Loch Orm. Kilholman Loch Orm is a great example, right? Like, come on.
But all I'm saying is, like, the only one I've ever spent more on was $300, and that was for that Ardbeg. And I thought it was every bit penny worth it, because you can't get it anywhere other way. It's never going to be made again. It's very specific Manzanilla cask they use in that Ardbeg, and it's one of the very few that you can get that cask maturation from. It's well known to be a good whiskey, so that's the only time I ever broke the NAS don't spend more than $150 rule was the Ardbeg. Can you think of anything for you that you spent more than $150 on an NAS whiskey?
I can. I'm trying to think now. Like, an NAS whiskey.
Silverlock. Just name the one that will break all the rules too. I forgot about that one. He's right.
I mean, Ardbeg, like.
What about this one?
300 though? No, I wouldn't do that for 300.
No, but it regularly goes for
200. And it's not because it's NAS. It's just that, like, it's not that great. Like,
it regularly goes 180 to 230 though.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's a little. I mean, okay, Signet is damn good.
That's true. That's true. Well,
you get the pass. I mean, I have a Campanta here that I paid $170 for, but it's from 2014.
No,
so what do you want to do?
Not Hold on. Not Mezzanura Ben. I said Manzanilla. It's Manzilla, I believe, or close to that. Manzanilla cast, not Mazzanara. Kind of close, but totally different there. If it was Mazzanura, we would be talking like some crazy money. It'd be like $500 to $600 for a bottle of that. Sorry, Malt, what were you saying?
No, you're good. No, I mean, yeah, I think that's right. Like, I mean, if there was an NAS whiskey that I'd be willing to throw down serious money for, I guess maybe Signet. I don't know what else. I just, look, age statement doesn't mean everything. Age statement just tells you how old it is. It doesn't mean that it's good. But what I would say is, on average, an age statement is a good thing to say, because at least it's giving you more information, you know? And like, that's important and fair. And you should have as much information on the whiskey as you can. And a lot of the times, some of these NAS whiskeys are just sign-offs. You know, they're just selling shit. But like, there are good exceptions. Ardbeg Blaaack, Ardbeg Corey Brecken, Glen Rothes Whiskey Maker's Cut. Like, there are exceptions to this rule. Freaking Aberlour Abuna. Like, come on. It's the only good Aberlour out there. Like,
that's true.
Like,
I will vouch for that, because I've had a lot of them.
Yeah.
And
I'm willing to throw down
only...
$90 to $100 on an Abuna if I know it's a good batch. And I'm not going to not do it. Like, it's fucking light years better than the Aberlour 18 or the Aberlour 16, for that matter.
That's the only Aberlour bottle that I would spend any money on again, would be the Abuna series. So.
What about some of the Glenmorangie private releases? The Spios. Those are $90. Like, but the Spios was great.
Yeah,
I wish they weren't NAS, but it's not that they're bad because of it.
Right.
I agree, though, with Toro's overall point that the idea of going over 200 pounds for any NAS whiskey, I'm sorry, show me an example of any NAS whiskey that's worth that fucking much money.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll be, you know.
If you can get the Signet for $180, that's the good price. If you're spending above $180 for this, and I'm talking American dollars, you are paying way too much. Because I have seen it as high as $230, but I would not spend above $180 for the Signet at this point. What about you, Malt?
No, because I mean, it's not even my favorite Glenmorangie. Like, I would not go. I wouldn't look. I can still find it for $170, and I won't buy it.
Yeah,
it's just not. I like it, but I don't like it that much. It's not that it's a bad whiskey. I mean, if you're gonna talk about craft in and of itself, it's maybe one of the best NAS whiskeys you can find.
Yeah.
But am I gonna go rush out and buy it? I'm not. And it's not because of the NAS. It's just like, if they had a 15-year age statement on it, I still wouldn't buy it. It's not worth it for $180.
I agree with you, T Squared. The funny thing, though, is even though I'm not a Glenmorangie 10 fan, I do like the La Santa a lot, and I do like the Quinta Ruban and some of the Nectar.
Yeah, they're the masters of the wine finish. I mean, Glenmorangie 18 is pretty tasty. We did it the other week.
Yeah, that's true.
We were both surprised at, like, oh yeah, this is actually a really tasty.
I just think it's funny that he doesn't like the base, and I'm the same way. I don't like the 10 base, but I do like their other ones after they've, either finished it or matured it in a different cask. There is something about that, and I'll agree with T Squared. You need to get the Victoriana if you have not had it before. It's if you find it underneath $100.
You want to get NAS whiskey, try to beat the Glen Scotian, the Victoriana, and that's almost $100. But I think Toro's point is right. So we're about to hit that hour, man. I don't mean to change topics, but do you want me to just give a little preview of what's coming up?
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to quickly just say Can-Do Cask Strength sounds really good. I didn't know they had a base. I got to find that somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the NAS. Is that the batch? They're talking about the batch 1, batch 2, batch 3, probably. Yeah, those are really good. I have had those. Never mind. I forgot you guys were talking about the batches. Go ahead, man. Sorry about that.
No, all good. Another couple of good NASs, like half of the LaFroy cartridges.
That's true. Yeah.
So next week, man, we got a really fun one coming up.
Yeah, let me pull up the notes here. Yeah,
we're going to jump in with Glendronach. We're going to be doing Allardyce tasting. We're going to be tasting an 18-year-old that was released in 2017, and we'll explain why it's 22 years old.
Hell yeah.
And we're going to do one from 2019, which will explain why it's actually 24 years old. So we got some heavy First Fill Oloroso exclusively mature whiskey coming up.
I cannot wait till February the 2nd.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And then the rest of February, Glencadam 13 and Glencadam 19 coming up on the 9th.
Oh, the 21 actually.
And then the Glengoyne Monster Show. Glengoyne Teapot Dram, it's a distillery release only, and Glengoyne 21. And then we're going to round out February with Glenlivet Nadura and Glenlivet 21. These are going to be some fun shows. I hope you all take a second before you leave tonight. Subscribe to Telex the Whiskey Tech. Shoot me a sub at Malt Muser Whiskey Reviews and smash that thumbs up button. It does a lot. We had a great crowd tonight. We had well over 25 people at Point, man. Appreciate y'all. And I hope this was a fun show for you guys. And we're really excited to get into some serious sherry bombs coming up next week.
That's going to be a Glencadam 21 actually, with that Glencadam 13 next after on the 9th. And then we're going to have that the Glencoyne, and the Glenlivet show after that. And and so we got lots of really great stuff lined up. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward. Also, don't forget on that list. I put on that list. Don't forget the few that I already have is the we got to take a look at that Dad's Hat option.
And we're going to get into some rides, man. We got a bunch of shows. You know, Telex and I are coming up on our 1 year anniversary. We started this show right around the COVID epidemic, and we're getting close. We got a good Irish show coming up in mid-March too.
Yeah,
we're talking Redbreast 20-1, man. Like, we're gonna be after it. So I hope you guys all stay tuned, man. We appreciate your support and love so much. This is fun. It's all about the chat. It's all about the whiskey. It is all about the conversations, and appreciate everybody for spending time with us tonight. You know, what can you say? Tell it.
Yeah, I love Ardbeg, man, and even though we kind of kicked the LR around a little bit for the Black, we're still huge Ardbeg's fans, and we just tell it like we see it. And when the Scorch gets released, I'll be first in line to get the committee for both of us, and I'll be the first in line to get the limited, and hopefully we'll be pleasantly surprised by the next two releases if we're lucky.
Ain't that the truth, man? Hey, Welsh Toro, man, thank you for that comment. And T Squared, great streams, keep it up. Toros is watching you guys as the benefit of furlough, man. Hey, I appreciate you guys so much, man. Thank you so much, man. We really just try to have as good of a time and just chat whiskey, and it's all in good fun, and that's what keeps it going, man. Thank you, Matt D. Appreciate you. You guys all stay safe, be well, man. Wear a mask, don't get COVID, keep yourselves healthy. And we'll catch you next week with some motherfucking Glendronach Allardyce.
Oh, the old stuff.
Some old ones. We're throwing it down, man. Hit that thumbs up before you leave, man. Stay safe, be well.
I don't know if I ever had one of those really old Allardyces, but I'm definitely tempted to sink my teeth in them because I've heard they're damn good.
Yeah, no, we're about to jump into that. So excited to do that, man. Take care.
You too, man.
Next week, and all of you all be well, man. Much love. Stay healthy.
See you guys next Tasty Tuesday.
You know it.
Lajava.